Well, good morning, gentlemen. All right, welcome to another Friday Blackbird workshop. And just taking a look to see who's in the room. And actually, yeah, there's a couple of people here today. Well, a couple of names, I should say, I don't recognize. So let me ask if there's anybody who's new to these workshops or newish, fairly new to these workshops. And the question is, would you like to hear the workshop introduction? All right. So the workshop introduction is I'll explain what we do in these workshops, what we do not do. Also, I'll explain how the recordings work. And then lastly, I will explain the indicators that I can install into my machine when answering your guys' questions there. All right. So if anybody would like to hear the workshop introduction, let me know, and I'll get that done first. Let's see here. But as far as the workshop goes, I know there was somebody in the Bloodhound workshop yesterday who sounded like they had some Blackbird questions for today. So hopefully they show up and ask their questions. Let's see, I don't have any emailed in questions. So unfortunately, I don't have any topics to get today's workshop started. So that means you guys, whoever asks the first question there, will get the workshop started. All right, so I'll be waiting on your guys' questions in the Q&A window there to kick off the workshop and get it started for us. So once again, gentlemen, I'm just waiting on some questions to come into the Q&A window there for me and get today's workshop started. All right, for the people who just joined us here, I am just waiting for the first question to come into the Q&A window and get this workshop started. So I'm sure somebody must have some Blackbird questions for me. All right, gentlemen, just to repeat myself here again, I'm waiting on the first question to come into the Q&A window, and that will get the workshop started. All right, so as a reminder for anybody who's fairly new to these workshops, you basically your questions are what run these workshops. All right, so these workshops are here so you can ask your questions and get them answered, in a live environment. Also, if you can't make it to these workshops and you have a question that you want answered, so that way you have a recording, just remember you can always email your questions into support and just mention, that you'd like your question answered in the workshop there, right? And I will get that done. Han is asking, how can I use AI to develop Blackbird templates? I don't know. You would have to ask whoever developed the AI that you're wanting to use. So we're not an AI company. So you would need to ask the AI company on doing that. So yeah, we can't answer questions about other people's products or software or services or things of that nature. So I'm just kind of thinking about your question, in my head here. I know ChatGPT and some other AIs do have enough knowledge. The thing is, we never know exactly how they're training their AI, where they're getting their data from. Are their AIs now actually capable of watching the training videos to train themselves? Right? Because there's all kinds of videos on our YouTube channel here. Or maybe, obviously I'm sure their AIs are scanning through, our documentation pages here. Yeah, so I guess it kind of depends on how well those AI companies have trained their AIs. So, yeah. And so here's the follow-up. Are you developing AI for... No. These guys who, it takes billions of dollars to train an AI. It's not the snap of a finger. Not yet. So no, we're not developing an AI. Not yet. It's still in its infancy. Even though AI companies, brag that, hey, that it's all worked out, and while it's great at answering kind of general questions, it's still in its infancy, or maybe it's approaching its tweens, so to speak, getting towards its tweens, but it still takes a huge team of people to properly train AI, so that it doesn't give you bogus answers, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys have all heard about some of the earlier ChatGPT telling people to put glue on their pizza, so yeah. So anyways, yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but heck, but yeah, training in AI takes a huge team. So yeah, at some point, I'm confident that AI will come along where it is truly intelligent and doesn't need a huge team of people training it, with prompts and just giving it the thousands and thousands of man hours that it takes to properly train an AI so it doesn't give you wrong answers, right? So yeah. All right, yeah, let's see here. So looks like there's some other questions here. So let me take a look. Randy's asking, anything new on the horizon? Let's see here. I do know here whenever the next update is. So I don't know when the next update will be, but I do know that you guys know of the quick list here. So let me, so all these quick lists have been added to. So now these quick lists have been expanded massively. So so with the next update, you'll see the limit entries. There's actually going to be a bunch of options for a limit entry, and the same bunch of options for stop entry and stop limit entry here, and the same thing for the profit targets and stop losses. So there's going to be a whole bunch of tick-based stop losses options there, and ATR ones as well, and some indicator-based ones. So more than just the three options here. There's going to be a lot more there for targets and stop losses there. Yeah, so I do know that's coming, but I don't know anything else. So, all right, so let's see. That was Randy's question, and let's see what Michael has. Let's see. All right, so Michael, wants to see some examples of scaling in using the dynamic planner and the order monitor panel. All right, yeah. And let's see. I'm just reading some of the others here. Let's see. All right, good. So there's a couple of good questions in here. Okay, so let's do some scaling in. I'll show you guys how to do scaling in using the dynamic planner and the order monitor panel. Okay, good. All right, so let me create an order set here, and so I'm just going to create something where the profit target and the stop loss is not going to get hit, so that way I can keep scaling in without the worry of the market hitting a exit order. It's there. Okay, so there's a 10 ATR profit target, and then also what the heck, I'll go with the trailing ATR. And let's also modify the stop loss here. There we go. So I'll make the stop loss a 10 ATR as well. And since this is trailing, I do need to go into the trailing actions tab here. And I'm going to open this up a little bit. There we go. And then go into the actions here and adjust this ATR as well to make it 10. Let's open up that. And there we have it. There we go. All right, now that I have something to work with here. All right, so let's start with the dynamic planner here. And let's see, where is the market going? All right, market's gonna be going up here. So let's go long. There we go. And I guess just for good measure, I'll move my order up a little bit further there. All right, and execute. There we go. And now, if you want to scale in, right, you can add that there. Also, scroll this up a little bit. And now I can hit the plan long again, right? And hit execute. And there we go. So now it's scaled in 3 additional contracts. And you can see, right, the scaling, right, did reset itself back down to 1, just, as a caution there. So, but also let's go and modify our entry order so that way it is not a market, and let's change it to a limit, and just in case we can enable the automatic order type there. Let's click OK, and now let's go back to the dynamic planner here, and this time I'll just use the dynamic planner for just 1 there. And oh, look at that. Actually, let's turn that back off here. Let me just double check. And well, you know what? Let me disable the automatic order type there. All right. So what I was noticing here is I am not seeing my entry order. Yeah, I'm not seeing the entry order there. So definitely make sure that you have your entry order set correctly beforehand. So let's close all this out. And let me go back in here and enable the automatic order type here. So there are some things that cannot be changed on the fly, right, with Blackbird. So there's a lot of there are some changes that only take effect after Blackbird is in a flat state, right? So that way the state logic engine, right, that makes sure that Blackbird doesn't overcorrect by accident, or maybe if your broker rejects an order, right, that'll throw any regular strategy for a loop, but Blackbird will correct itself if NinjaTrader or your broker rejects an order. So that state logic engine only allows changes to your order set when it's in a flat state. Yeah. So, all right. So there we go. So I got the auto order select enabled again. So let's see here. Yeah, we're still going long, and yeah, there we go. I'll put it down there and execute. And if something doesn't happen here, and oh, yeah, you know what? yeah, maybe the automatic order type isn't working with the dynamic planner there. Let's give this a try one more time. There, put that down there. Hit execute. And no, all right, let's try this again. Let's see, let's put this above here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so with the dynamic planner, we can see here that the dynamic planner is only acknowledging the stop, so it doesn't actually acknowledge the automatic order type there. So let's see here. So let me change this to a limit there. All right, close that out. Go to the dynamic planner, plan long, put this down here. Let me put my, there we go. Put that profit target way up there, that stop way down there, and hit execute. There we go. All right, and so if I want to scale in 2 more, there we go, increase the scaling to 2, and you hit the plan long. And this time, if I'm going to scale in with 2, I'll put this a little lower, like so. And also, let's put the stop loss down there. There we go. All right. And now, the order monitor panel here. So let me pin this. So this is permanent. And then I'll also widen out my chart a little bit. Here we go. Now, yeah, if you hit this button, right, remember it's always utilizing the entry order here that was specified, right? So for the limit order, actually, and for the limit and the stop, right, the default is just placing the order on the closing price here. So let's see if, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to make an adjustment on the fly here. So I'm going to put this limit order 10 ticks right below the closing price here. There. All right, and just click the button and boom, yeah, got filled instantly. So 10 ticks wasn't quite enough there. Oh, and it is still, yeah, it is still scaling in with the market entry order actually. Yeah, so hold on here, let's flatten this all out. There. So let's use the dynamic planner here. And we'll plan long. Execute. And man, markets are moving fast here. Actually, let me just double check here. So yeah. So it did submit a limit order, and yeah, it was instantly filled. Yeah, 10 ticks is not much on the NQ these days. Market can move really fast. So, all right. And so let me wait for I'm going to wait for a moment when the market looks like it's kind of going up here. Well, let's give it a shot. Okay. Ah, geez, that was so quick. And let's see. All right, so I think in the next few seconds, the market will start moving up again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's scale in again. There we go. So there is my entry order, and it didn't get filled. So boom. There. And if I want to use the dynamic planner, there we go. Move that down, hit execute. There we have it. So, all right, there you go, Michael. So if there's anything else more specific, let me know. So just keep in mind that as I kind of demonstrated there, not every change can be acknowledged on the fly, right? So if you're changing your entry order type there, so yeah, sometimes Blackbird can make those changes on the fly, but most of the time it cannot. So here, let's see. All right, good. Thanks, Michael. So, all right, so it looks like he got what he needed. Yeah, all right, so let's see who's got the next question. All right, James is up next. All right, yeah, so James would like to see a sample of moving to break even after 10 ticks with a 40 tick stop loss. But then he wants the stop loss to trail the bar high or bar low. Yeah, all right. So, all right, let's close all of this out. And open up the order settings here. There. All right, so I'm going to clear everything out. And let's just go with a market entry. And we'll make this a runner, so no stop loss. So a break even. So what I'm going to use here, actually, we have one exactly from this quick list here. We have one that's exactly uses a 10 tick profit to move the break even. So a break even after 10 tick profit there, right? And it's right there. So 10 tick trailing with a BE break even plus 1, right? So I'm going to use this to get started here. All right. And then we can just go in and make the adjustments that you want. So if you want this to be a 40 tick stop, then we're going to go into the initial placement. And we'll adjust this. Actually, instead of using that, let's just type it in there. There you go, 40 ticks, right? So there's our 40 tick stop. There we go. And next, we're going to go into the trailing actions here. And so here's our break even plus 1. So if you don't want that plus 1, then we just go to the actions here. Right? Remember, the actions is what calculates where the stop loss is going to be moved to, right? And so if we open up the move to here, right? So obviously a break even is your entry price, and then right here is the plus 1, right? The offset there. So you could take that out if you don't want the plus 1. So I'll just leave it in there. So, and then the trailing here, so we can see it, right? Here's the 10 tick trailing. So we can adjust this here. I'll just change the name and just call it trailing there. And so for the trailing, again, we're going to go into the action, because again, the action is what calculates and determines where that stop loss gets moved, right? Gets moved to, hence the name called move to right here, right? And so what we're going to do is instead of using the last price now, we're going to use the bar low price. And you can determine, is it going to be the current, right, the most recent closed bar low, or do you want to use do you want to use the bar low from 2 bars back, right? So we can use the second bar back's low price, right? That's what a single value would be. A single value would be just that individual bar. Or you can say, let's use the lowest low of the last 2 bars, right? Or the lowest low of the last 3 bars, right? So minimum value, right, is going to be the lowest low price of however many bars back you want to look at there. So let's see here. So I will go with 2 bars back since I'm on the NQ, and hopefully we'll catch a nice little run there. Oh, also, yeah, remember, because we're adjusting one of those quick list settings here, right? Originally the trailing was a 10 tick trailing, so so take out that 10 ticks there. We'll set that to 0. Actually, I'll put it 1 tick below the low, just for good measure. And there we go. So we just now repurposed that 10 tick stop loss with the break even at 10 ticks with a 10 tick trailing. Now we've repurposed it to do, it still has the break even after 10 ticks of profit, but now the trailing has been modified to follow the bar low. Actually, the bar low of the last 2 bars there, right? Lowest low of the last 2 bars minus 1 tick there. All right, so with that, let's just go long and see if we actually catch any trailing. Well, maybe I should go short. All right, let's try this one more time. There we go. All right, that was instant. Boom! As soon as that order got filled, boom! It hit 10 ticks and moved to break even. So now, hopefully, the market will move up a little bit for us, and we can see that trailing. So there we go, right? So the last bar there, right, is the lowest low of the last 2 bars, right, out of these 2 bars. So now it's these 2 bars there. And there we go. Oh, also, let me just double check something here. So on the trailing roll here, and oh yeah, so it is utilizing ticks of movement here. So actually, because we're using bar prices, and when you're using bar prices, how the bar prices are acquired is determined by NinjaTrader here. So the short answer is Blackbird can only do this type of trailing once per bar there, right? And yeah, so just so you understand, and if you want to understand exactly why this is with NinjaTrader, you'll go consult with NinjaTrader's documentation, and it explains why this is. But so I'm going to go open up the strategies window here, and Blackbird has the calculate set to on bar close. So that's what determines, the calculate mode is what determines what bar price data you have access to. So Blackbird only has access to bar data on bar close. So yeah. let's see. I think, yeah, it looks like the market's going to be heading down a little bit. So here, let's go short there. We can watch that trail. And yeah, let me take a look at the next question here. Keep this open. Yeah, so here's the trailing rules there. All right, so all we needed to do, just to recap here, was modify the action so that it's utilizing the bar low or the bar high, instead of the last price. All right, so let's see here. So that was James's question. And all right, good. So it looks like James got what he needed. And all right, looks like Jude is up next. Oh, Blackbird snippets. Yeah, like in Bloodhound. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, for further changes to the software there, yeah, you're always welcome to email those in. So, and we do kind of have this Word document, I guess, of suggestions there from customers of changes they'd like to see. Yeah, so Jude, you're always welcome to email those changes in to support there. All right. So, yeah, I don't think, just to get a little technical here, snippets work with Bloodhound because Bloodhound has nodes, right? And those, so those nodes are individual objects, and obviously a strategy doesn't have nodes, but I guess I could see where you could have a snippet of an order set, yeah, and you can somehow open up a order set file. I guess we'd probably call it like a modular order set file, and you could load up that order set file and it would just pop in. It would just create a new order set here of loading that file there. Yeah. So, yeah, I could see that being kind of handy to have. Yeah. But do keep in mind that we do have, or right now, Blackbird's always had the ability to copy, right? So that way you can copy another order set and it saves you that time of having to recreate your trailing stop loss rules again over and over there, right? So you can at least, create your first one as completely as possible, and then you can just make a copy of it like so. Boom. And here we go. So this stop loss here, right, is an exact copy. And then you can go in, right, and tweak it, as you see fit there. So there is that copy capability. Also, if you're starting, you want to just start a fresh new one, also you can copy individual orders there. So not the order set, but individual orders, right? So I'm on the stop loss menu here. So you can see I can copy the stop loss from the previous two order sets here. So I can copy from A or I can copy from B as well to save some time. So, yeah. And there. All right, let's see. Oh, good. All right. Yeah. So Jude managed to pass his first prop firm test there. All right. Excellent. Good. It's nice to know that, yeah, our software is helping somebody out there be a better trader. So, right? I mean, that should definitely be the purpose of any trading software that you purchase is to make your trading better in some way, right? There's so many aspects of trading here that yeah, that need mastering, and definitely using the speed of your computer to help, especially, man, it's amazing how fast the markets are moving these days compared to compared to like 2005, 2006. So yeah, today it seems like it'd be pretty difficult to keep up with the market without utilizing some kind of software to semi automate your trading there. Yeah, so good. All right, well, gentlemen, looks like that is it for this round of questions. So let me, oh, there we go. Good. Looks like some more questions are coming in here. Excellent. Um, Um, yeah, Han is asking, has anyone reported significant improvements? Yeah, in execution with the Quant VPS, VPS, not VPN, but VPS. I know they're very close, but very different. Yeah, yeah, improved executions. Yeah, with the Quant VPS. I'm actually the wrong person to ask. I am not in the marketing part there. So I haven't heard of any comments during our team meetings. So yeah, I haven't heard anything. But then again, um, I'm the wrong person to ask. So technically, you should be able to get a few millisecond, better executions. Um, just simply based on the lag of everybody's internet, right? So if you live in Chicago, right, your lag to the exchanges, if you're trading futures, is going to be minimal. But, if you're living in California, right, your internet connection has to go halfway across the country, and who knows? It depends on your internet provider. This is doubtful, but your internet provider might actually, might have set your connection to go to something like from California to New York first, and then back to Chicago, right? Typically, the internet uh, doesn't do that, right? The servers that run the internet shouldn't be doing that. They're designed to find the shortest path, but the point being is whatever your internet lag time is to get from your house to the exchange at Chicago, or if you're using a New York exchange, that's basically your improvement that you're going to get with utilizing a VPS, near the exchange. So, yeah. But anyways, so Han, yeah, what I'd suggest is, if you really wanted an answer, just email that into support there, and specifically ask Keith if he's had any feedback there. So, traders are usually a quiet bunch. Jude is kind of like one of the rare exceptions where we get feedback on stuff like that. The vast majority of traders, customers, uh, just kind of keep to themselves, right? So it's kind of like when you're reading reviews online, right? Like reviews on Amazon. Usually, you're only inspired to leave a review when you're unhappy, right? Happy people typically don't leave reviews, right? Just kind of how feedback goes, with human nature. So, you know. All right, so let's see here. All right, so I kind of beat Hans' question to death. And all right, so let's see what Jude has next here. Um, yeah, this question has been asked before here. So Han is asking, so if you have two Blackbirds running, um, even if you have two Blackbirds running on the same computer, is it possible to really, yeah, what you have to do is somehow connect, establish some kind of connection between the two Blackbirds so that if one Blackbird is in a long position, the other Blackbird doesn't try to go short. Yeah, so the answer is no, but I am giving this a second thought here. Um, no, yeah, I can't think of any kind of workaround. Um, yeah, I didn't, and I, yeah, I'm always willing to give something a few moments of thought here. But the unfortunately, the huge limitation there, and we've managed to overcome a little bit of the limitation here with trading platforms. So I don't want to pick on NinjaTrader. This is true of all trading platforms where at least all the platforms I've looked into, strategies are not allowed to communicate with each other, right? Strategies run in their own little ecosystem or their own little bubble. So you can't have one strategy preventing another strategy from doing something there. So, yeah, we did manage to be able to take the P&L, trade data there. Well, actually, yeah, just the P&L data, and we're able to dump that to a file so that you can have, two Blackbirds combine their P&L data to trigger the money management rules here. But as far as going the next leap forward, yeah, would be having both Blackbirds communicate in real time, telling each other like, hey, you can't go short now because I'm in a long position. That is far, far more complicated. Yeah, it's more complicated than it sounds. Sounds like it'd be simple, but actually it's not. Um, so yeah, unfortunately the answer is no. And let's see here. All right, looks like there's a follow-up. Yeah, right. Yeah, I definitely have had that suggestion from time to time. And yeah, because of again, just because strategies are specifically designed to not be interfered with by something else running on the platform, because they're specifically designed that way. Um, you know, so here's kind of the second issue, where if we could build some kind of communication between two blackbirds, which with software, I'm sure it's technically possible, but because we're circumventing something that NinjaTrader and any other platform has specifically done, right, then that puts the risk on us. If something goes wrong, right, it's our fault, and NinjaTrader would say, well, that's Shark Indicator's fault. They're violating the framework that NinjaTrader designed. So that's another issue. That has to be, addressed or considered, by us, So, because we don't know how else that communication could interfere with NinjaTrader and other strategies as well. So, so it opens up a can of worms, right? So, really, NinjaTrader, or the platform, the trading platform that you're utilizing, really needs to have that communication built into the platform. The platform needs to open itself up and allow that communication. So that way you're not circumventing how the platform is designed. So, and let's see here. So, yeah, it looks like we have a part A and a part B question. Let's see. Well, yeah, so this part B here is actually a Bloodhound question. To process more logic. All right. Yeah. So having Bloodhound, yeah, it sounds like you're wanting to set up Bloodhound to communicate with another Bloodhound. Yeah, from one time frame to another time frame. That actually that may be overcomplicating the situation. I don't know exactly what you're doing, so I can't answer a generic type of statement like that, or generic kind of question. I need to know exactly what's being done on the higher time frame and exactly what's being done on the lower time frame, and exactly what is being triggered, what logic is wanting to be triggered, so that more logic is being processed, to be able to answer that. But I think that can all be done. It's just that it's not done in two separate bloodhounds. You have to do it all within that one instance of bloodhound, right? So the bloodhound that's going to be processing more logic will also have the logic from the higher time frame bloodhound. So yeah. So Jude, if you want me to get more into this, I just need you to send me an email there with more specific information about, what's Bloodhound A doing on the higher time frame, what's Bloodhound B doing on the lower time frame, and what is it about Bloodhound A on the higher time frame, what is the actual trigger, what are the conditions that Bloodhound A is triggering on Bloodhound B, and then what is the, I guess, what would be the typical logic that Bloodhound B would be processing versus what is the extra logic that Bloodhound B would be processing when Bloodhound B gets triggered by Bloodhound A. So, yeah. So I would, need all that detailed information, so I could see it. It sounds like this can all be done within Bloodhound B. So, but again, it always boils down to the details. You can't ever discuss this in generic terms. So, and the thing, just to try and point you in the right direction there, is, I think, what's necessary here to accomplish what you're wanting to do is the if-then node. So under the logic nodes here, right, there's the if-then node. So, right. So that allows you, the if-then can be used to trigger between two different groups of logic, right? So you have one group of logic connected to then, another group connected to else, right? And you can see it's a switch. So the if, right, the if connection determines where the switch is at. And so you could have the lesser logic connected to then and the extreme logic connected to else, and only one of them gets through to the output there, right? And I think, yeah, there you go. So there's a video there of it if you want to, take a look at that. And let's see, is there a video down here? There's an older video down here as well, Bloodhound version 1. But just remember, the if-then node, the logic is the same. So don't be thrown off by the fact that this is Bloodhound version 1 and something's changed, because no, none of the nodes have changed from Bloodhound version 1 to Bloodhound version 2. The only thing that's changed is just Bloodhound's interface has been improved, right? But all the nodes still function exactly the same. So these older videos, are still correct. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and we have another video down here. So cool. All right, yeah. So there's a couple videos there on that if-then node, and yeah, that might serve your needs there. All right. All right, let me continue to go through the questions here. And let's see, James is asking, this will be posted on YouTube for reference. No, we don't put up just miscellaneous questions like this. We try and keep our YouTube channel clean as possible. So, but you can always request, that the raw recording gets uploaded to the raw channel here. So let me just go through that here, right? So you can always email into support, at any time there, email into support and ask us to upload the raw recording, right, the unedited recording of a workshop here, and we will upload that to our Shark Indicators raw channel here. So you can see we have just a plain channel here with just the raw recordings there. All right, and yeah, we'll upload that, and then once any question of substance, any question that has any kind of learning value there, once that's pulled out, then it gets deleted off of this channel. So this is just a temporary holding place so that you guys can watch the video as soon as possible, because otherwise it does take several weeks for our video editor to actually edit out these videos here. So again, just email into support and ask that the video get uploaded to the raw channel there. And actually, let's see here. We do a little refresh there. All right, yep, there we go. So, okay, let's see. So that was James's question. All right, let's see what Jude has next. Okay, great. All right, good. So it sounds like we will have a a fairly substantive topic for next week's Bloodhound. So yeah, there are some topics that are of a similar nature. I don't recall exactly what they were because this was years ago, but that type of question has been asked in the Bloodhound workshops before. Well, actually, stuff was emailed in. Yeah, something that complex always needs to be kind of emailed in. Right, it's a little too much to be able to just type it all out in the Q&A window here. So yeah, so I know there are some other, but again, like I said, something of that nature is so detailed that that watching another video may not have everything in it, in any of the other videos that you may need yourself. So but I guess if you wanted to take a crack at it, right, since the next Bloodhound workshop's not till next week, you could, I think my suggestion here is, let's do a search for if then and see if anything comes up. I'm not sure. I don't think that's going to pull anything up. So yeah, so that's, yeah, so it sounds like this is what you're wanting to use here, right? Using if then node, so system A, or in your case, logic A can override logic B, something of that nature. Yeah, it looks like that's what we're gonna find. There are not that many. There weren't that many questions asked in the Bloodhound workshops that utilize the if then node. Yeah. So that node has a very short list, short list of videos on it. Yeah, there we go. So, all right, let's keep moving on here. All right, yeah. So Aaron also has a Bloodhound question. Yeah. So what do we have that acts as a sequencer? Essentially, that would be the signal extender, or maybe the toggle node, but the toggle node's a little more complicated because the toggle node you have to turn it off at some point, right? At least the signal extender turns itself off automatically because it only extends for X number of bars. Yeah, so going back here, let's see here. There we go. Under the function nodes here, the signal extender. Yeah. And maybe even the look back node. The look back node can extend signals as well. Right? So let's see here. Let me try and find that video there for you. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah, this is an old video. So again, but the function nodes themselves haven't changed. So remember, this is a video on learning about principles, right? Learning about learning the process, of setting up the signal extender or the look back node or the toggle node. So yeah, so there you go. This is the exact video there that you want to watch. All right. Let's see, let me just look down here a little bit. Looks like that's it. All right. Yep. Let's see. All right. So moving on here. Oh, yeah. So this is a follow-up. Yeah. So Aaron is asking, yeah, is it a mix of lookbacks with a few and nodes? Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Right. Right. So every sequence or every condition is always, let's see. Yeah, I think every condition is almost always going to end, 99.9% of the time. Every condition is going to end with an AND node. And then you take the output from that AND node and extend it forward by a few bars until the next condition occurs. So yeah, so you go from AND node, extend the output of that AND node until the next condition occurs, and so condition A will be end with an AND node, and you extend condition A, and then condition B will, right, take the extension of condition A, and it'll end with an AND node, and then you extend that AND node, which is condition A and B together, and extend that AND node until condition C occurs, right? And then condition C will also end with an AND node. So, yep. All right. So, here we go. And all right, good. So it looks like Aaron is on the right track. And all right, so it looks like Jude is up next. Oh. All right, so yeah, Jude has, sounds like Jude's done a lot of homework there, watching a lot of videos. Yeah. And all right, looks like Aaron actually has a Blackbird question for me. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Aaron has a question about, hold on, let me clean this up here. There. And all right, so I'm going to put the parabolic SAR here on the chart. All right. Yeah, so Aaron's question is, yeah, if you're using an indicator to set your stop loss, right, and obviously, so let's say you wanted to go long during this downtrend. Obviously, you can't put your stop loss above the market if you're going long. So what do if you're using a indicator here for your stop loss? So, yeah. So the solution to that, and let's go ahead and I'm going to use this quick list here, right? So we have a parabolic SAR trailing stop loss here, like so. Right, now on the options tab here, right, the initial placement, right, sets the stop loss to the parabolic SAR. Right, but obviously you can't do that if the indicator's on the wrong side. So the solution is you just have to go with, so your initial placement just has to be some kind of, fixed stop loss, right? So we can just say, okay, let's go with a 30 tick stop loss. So, right, so that, negative 30, there we go. Right, so obviously that will work 100% of the time. All right, and then in the trailing rules here, and that's, yeah, who is it? Randy was asking at the beginning of the workshop if there's any new improvements. Shoot. No, actually this didn't get included with the updated quick list there, unfortunately. Yeah, so sorry, never mind. So back to the question here. So what do we do here? So with the trailing here, obviously we don't want this trailing to kick in immediately because, again, right, the indicator's on the wrong side of the market. So you just need to add a trigger here, and we're going to use the price versus indicator. And what we'll do is we'll compare the closing price of the bar to the indicator here. So in this case, we want to compare, right, the closing price of the bar to the parabolic SAR, like so. And of course, remember, adjust your parameters if you're using, right, different indicator settings, like so, right? And also, you probably want to put a buffer in. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe with the parabolic SAR, you don't need a buffer because when it does flip, it does give you a good, you know, it gives you a good spacing here when it does flip. But you know, if you're using something like a moving average, right, where the price might cross the moving average by a tick or two, then you might want to go in and take like the closing price and add, wait, no, I had it right the first time, subtract a few ticks to have a buffer. So that way the closing price has to be at least 10 ticks above the parabolic SAR before that stop loss starts following, you know, whatever indicator it is you want to use there. Yeah, so remember, yeah, you can put in, you probably want to put in a buffer there. So I'll just take that out there. And then, of course, the mode here, yeah, so we want A, the closing price, to be equal or above B, which is our stop loss indicator. Yeah, so the modes are already set correctly there. So there you go. So now, once the closing price is above or equal to whatever your stop loss indicator is, then the trailing will kick in. So yeah. So so when you set your stop loss to 30 ticks, right, it'll go in at 30 ticks, but then an instant later, right, Blackbird's going to check this trigger here and see if it's true. And if it is, right, then Blackbird will move your stop loss to the indicator instantly. So, all right, let's take a look at this. Let's go long. And you know what? I probably need a bigger buffer. Yeah, because I'm on a 15 range chart here. So let's put in a huge buffer there. All right. Although, let's see, is the market going to move up? Yeah, the market's still moving up here. Okay. And bingo, there we go. There's our stop loss just moved as soon as that parabolic SAR flipped directions. All right. So there you go. Just to summarize here, the initial placement, right? You're just going to put in some kind of basic stop loss that always works, right? A tick based or ATR based, you know, whatever you want, ATR, tick based, something that always works. And then in the trailing actions, you have to put in that price versus indicator trigger and set up and compare the closing price of the bar to whatever your indicator is. And remember, you might want, depending on the indicator, you might want to put a little buffer there. You know, take the closing price and subtract X number of ticks, so that way the closing price is at least 10 ticks or however much you want, however much of a buffer you want before that stop loss starts following the indicator, right? And there you have it. And then also, I guess, yeah, let me pull this up here. You know, the video on this here Yeah, see what that pulls up. Here we go. Here it is. Best practice for setting up an indicator-based trailing stop loss. So that's the one you want to watch there, Aaron. There. All right, let's see. It looks like there's one more question here on the board. And actually, okay. So I think I understand Aaron's question here. So Aaron wants some kind of trailing rule here that closes out a trade that needs to be in profit when the market gets close to some kind of indicator. So he's using a Keltner channel, for example. So Aaron, what happens if your Keltner channel is not in a profitable position? I guess that's possible, but we'll just ignore that for now. And then also, the trade needs to last for at least 3 bars before closing it out. So, there. Let's see. Parabolic SAR would kill it. I don't know. I don't see how the parabolic SAR would fit in to this example of closing a trade, using some kind of indicator as a support resistance there. At least to me, it seems like you're using the Keltner as a support resistance. And so you're wanting to close the trade when the market gets close to that resistance level. So that's how I'm interpreting your question there. So yeah, that can be done here. All right, let's clear this out. Create an entry order. Now, you can do this with either a stop loss or you could do this in your profit target. Either way, I'm going to do it in the profit target here. Since you're wanting to close a trade while it's in a profitable state or a profitable position there. So therefore, I'm gonna use a profit target. Also, you mentioned the Keltner channel. So let's see here. Let's go with a custom. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just set my profit target to the Keltner channel. All right, so we're gonna switch the mode from price to indicator there, and all right, do a little search for the Keltner. All right, there's our Keltner channel, and all right, I'll just use the standard settings. So if we're in a long trade, right, you're probably using the upper, and short trade using the lower, like so, right? And then just for good measure, I'm going to say, right, 10 ticks above the Keltner channel, right? Let's be optimistic here. So, so there we go. So we have a profit target 10 ticks past the Keltner channel. Now, so to close out that trade, right, we need to use a trailing rule here. So let's enable the trailing rules here, set the mode to custom, add a trailing rule. And just like what we did with the stop loss in the previous question here, right, where you don't want to move your stop loss to the parabolic SAR if the parabolic SAR is on the wrong side of the market. So we're going to use that same kind of trigger here to identify when price or the market is close to whatever this indicator is that you want to use. So, right, so in this case, the Keltner channel, right? So, yeah, so we'll look at, actually, instead of the closing price, we're going to go with the last price, right? So we need to monitor this in real time here. All right, so if you use the closing price, remember NinjaTrader only provides that based on your calculate setting, right? So the last price, you always get that in real time from NinjaTrader. So we're going to switch this to the last price. And next, let's put in for input B, we're going to plug in our Keltner channel here. All right, there's our Keltner channel. And again, select, right, the upper for long, lower for short. There, and of course, match your indicator settings there. And now this is where you determine how close do you want the market to get to your indicator. So I'm just going to say, all right, let's go 5 ticks below the Keltner channel. Right, so once the market gets within that 5 ticks, that will trigger, or that will activate this trigger, right? So that is our trigger. We're looking for the last price to get within 5 ticks below our Keltner channel there, right? So the mode there is the last price needs to be equal or above the Keltner channel, and that's our trigger, right? And then the action here will be to flatten the position, and there you go, all done. Now, of course, there's no repeating, right? If your trade is flat, you can't repeat this rule ever again. So there's no repeating the action here. So, yeah, there we have it. And so let me get the Keltner channel chart here. And all right, hopefully we're not too close. Let's go long. Let's see. So remember, this is a 15 range chart, so looks like 5 ticks is about right there. Just kind of eyeballing it, and boom, there you go. Okay, close it out, and the market didn't even reach the Keltner channel. So, all right. So again, you can put this rule in a stop loss. It doesn't really matter where this rule goes because the action is to just flatten out the trade. So if you don't want a profit target, then just take this same rule here and put it in your stop loss. All right. So the key is using the price versus indicator trigger so you can identify when that last price gets within, whatever the range is of your indicator there, right? So I used 5 ticks, right? So whatever it is you want to be there. Yeah. So, and then obviously the action is you're wanting to close out the trade there. So flatten it. So there. All right. So I think that does it for that question. Yeah. So Aaron, if you want me to answer your parabolic SAR about killing it, yeah, provide me a little more detail on how the parabolic SAR fits into all this. I don't know how the parabolic SAR fits in here. So yeah, so I will just dismiss that question for now. Yeah, you're welcome, Aaron. Absolutely. Good software is never simple to learn. Even NinjaTrader itself is a really excellent platform, and so it does take time to learn all the capabilities that NinjaTrader has. So yeah, I mean, I wish NinjaTrader. Well, actually, NinjaTrader did have. They kind of had workshops like this. They weren't really open forums to just ask questions. They were more scripted workshops that NinjaTrader had, but at least it was better than nothing. It definitely helped me learn NinjaTrader. Got me up to speed in a couple of weeks. So yeah. All right, let's see. Michael's up next. Yeah, this is a good little detailed question here to be aware of. Yeah, Michael's asking. So, let's say we have, right, you got Blackbird set up as an auto trader, right, running your one of your Bloodhound templates here, or Bloodhound systems. And what the heck, I'll just pick something from yesterday. And I think we have, yeah, here we go. All right, so we got an RSI signal. Yeah, so the question is, well, actually, let me finish setting this up. Let's reload here. There we go. Yeah, so the question is, if you go in and you tinker around with your Bloodhound system, make some changes to a solver or anything, doesn't matter what the change is, right? If you tinker around, you make some changes, right? You close out Bloodhound, right? It auto saves. Do you have to reload Blackbird for those changes to take effect? And the answer is yes. So, yes. And that is simply due to the way NinjaTrader operates. And again, this wouldn't be specific to NinjaTrader. this would be for any trading platform out there. Yeah, so because, and so to be more specific with NinjaTrader, since it's the most complex platform out there that I'm aware of, NinjaTrader was never designed and is still not designed for indicators to change on the fly. Actually, NinjaTrader is not designed to allow anything to change on the fly, right? And Bloodhound and Blackbird have kind of broken through that design decision by NinjaTrader, to some extent, not all the way, because obviously we can't redesign the way NinjaTrader is built from the ground up. So, so you're still limited by that fundamental design of the platform. And again, this, all platforms are built that way, where you can't just change an indicator on the fly and have it take effect instantly, right? The way you have changes taking effect is you have to reload your chart. That's just how all the charting platforms out there operate. So yes, so you always have to reload to guarantee. That's the only way to guarantee those changes take effect. I have seen situations there where tinkering with your Bloodhound system does bleed through to Blackbird after a trade or two, but it's not guaranteed, right? If you want Blackbird to be guaranteed to uptake those changes to Bloodhound, you have to reload the chart, simply because that's how, trading platforms are designed. Yeah. So, okay, good. Looks like Michael got his answer. Yeah, and since you're tinkering with your system, it sounds like you're in a testing phase. So from that standpoint, right, it shouldn't matter how often you restart Blackbird. Obviously, if you're trading live and you're making those tweaks on the fly, well, yeah, I guess you just kind of have to deal with all the Blackbird reloads and everything. Yeah, but the better thing to do is, if you're making a lot of tweaks on the fly to your Bloodhound system, that's exactly what all these different logic templates are there for. So you can make variations of the same system, right? You really shouldn't be putting totally different trading systems all in the same Bloodhound file. I mean, you can, but keep in mind that the more systems you put into Bloodhound, right, the more calculations your CPU has to do. So, so at some point, right, you could reach the point where your CPU just can't keep up calculating all these systems at the same time. So so what I'm showing you guys in the workshops of just putting everybody's questions in the same Bloodhound file, it's simply just to deal with the logistics of, I don't want a dozen Bloodhound files per workshop, right? I want to be able to put them all in one file, and it's a lot easier that way. But for you guys, when you're building trading systems or signals, right, each Bloodhound file should be only one system at a time, right? So that's the best practice there for that, right? And so if you want your Blackbird to be able to switch between systems, like maybe you have one system that works best for a trending market, you have another system that works better when the market's consolidating, or maybe you have a system that works good for a a huge volatile day and another Bloodhound system that works when the market is basically falling asleep, then yeah, you can put those different systems into one Bloodhound file. Just do some testing, make sure that your computer can handle all that there. And if it can't, then what you can do is just have two charts open, right? Two Bloodhounds, and then you can, right, put some of your systems in one Bloodhound file and the others in another Bloodhound file. That way you're dividing up the calculations on your CPU there. This all deals with the multi-threading capability of NinjaTrader. So you're just kind of having different threads. You're diversifying the calculations amongst a couple of different threads there within NinjaTrader. Yeah, when you split your Bloodhound signals into different systems and then load those different Bloodhound files into two different Blackbirds, right, or three different Blackbirds, whatever it is. Yeah. So, all right. So I think that about took care of Michael's questions and a little extra. Let's see here. Okay, let's remove that. And all right, and remove that. And all right, looks like Alvin is up next here. All right. Yeah, it looks like Alvin has, what? A multi-conditional profit taking kind of scenario here. So Alvin, a little technical question here. Yeah, so here you're starting with a 16 tick stop loss, and then you say take partial profit of 2 ticks, right? So that sounds like a 2 tick profit target, but taking the 2 ticks of profit after 8 ticks of movement. So if the market's already moved 8 ticks in your favor, I don't know how you're going back and only taking 2 ticks of that profit if you're already in 8 ticks of profit there. Yeah. So if you could explain exactly what that means there, Alvin, of taking a partial profit of 2 ticks after the market's already moved 8 ticks in profit. Yeah. So technically there's something wrong there. Maybe it was take profit of 2 contracts after 8 ticks. Instead of 2 ticks, it was 2 contracts. Yeah, so Alvin, if you could clarify that for me. but we'll get the rest of this set up here. Let's see here. All right, so all right, let's clear Blackbird out for this next question here. All right, so the first thing we'll set up in this question here is setting up the 16 tick stop loss. And I'm guessing that maybe that 2 ticks is a break even plus 2 ticks. So I'll set it up that way until Alvin gets me an answer here. So we'll set up the stop loss first. That's the easiest thing here. And then we'll go in and set up the profit target here. Oh, no, actually, sorry. We're going to set up a conditional trailing rule here based on the RSI. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. It looks like Alvin has gotten back to me. Okay, yeah, so this is a break even plus 2. Okay, sounds good. All right, so let's just throw a market entry order here, and the question is really about the stop loss trailing. So I'm going to start with the 10 tick trailing with the break even, right? That'll put a lot of components in place there. And then we'll just open this up, go to the options tab, and adjust our 10 tick down to a 16 tick. There we have it. All right, there we go. So there's our 16 tick now. Now let's go to the trailing rules here. And so let's adjust our break even, right? So it's going to be a break even plus 2 at 8 ticks of profit there. All right, so next we go into the trigger and we can adjust, right, our ticks of movement in a profit. We'll just adjust that down to 8 ticks like so. And then the action here, right, we're going to adjust this from a break even plus 1 to a break even plus 2. So there you go. There's the plus 1. Just add 1 to it. Now it's a break even plus 2, right? Entry order plus 2 ticks. All right, there you go. So there's the break even part. Now the trailing here. Yeah. So if the RSI is above 70, the stop loss is going to trail by 4 ticks. But if it's not, if the RSI is below 70, then let's see here. It targets a 16 tick profit. All right, so if the RSI yeah, is in a strong trend, then Alvin wants this to be a runner. And yeah, just let it run, no profit target in the way. But if the RSI is not in a strong trend, then just capture 16 ticks of profit. All right, yeah, so that means that you can't have a profit target. Yeah, so one thing you can't do there is you can't remove and add you can't remove and add exit orders with an OCO connection, right? Yeah, Exchange just doesn't allow that. So, yeah, so we'll have to do this without a profit target here. Let's see here. All right, so I'm just going to handle the trailing here first. All right, so the trailing. So we have two. So we don't want the trailing to kick in until, right, until a certain amount of profit has been made, right? So in this case, it's going to be actually 11 ticks, right? 8 ticks for the break even plus the 2, right? And then the market needs to move at least one more tick before the trailing. So that part's straightforward. I think this will work. The trickier part is monitoring the RSI. Let's see. Yeah, all right, well, let's give this a shot here. Yeah, I think this is the first time I've answered a question like this. All right, so yeah, so we have this interval here. And we're also going to add a indicator value trigger. Right, so we're going to monitor the RSI indicator. So here we go. There's our RSI. Call it good. And so if we're in a long trade, we want the RSI to be greater than or equal to 70. And if in a short trade, RSI is going to be less than or equal to 30. There. All right, so that's how we would monitor if the RSI is above or below 70, right, or 30. And so we need both of these conditions, right? Right, we need at least that 11 ticks, of a profitable move, and the RSI together. And oh, hold on. The mode here, yeah, there we go. So the mode simultaneously. Yep. I think that's the best one. No, actually, any order. Yeah, I'm going to set this to any order. I think, yeah, both of these will work here, but I'm going to go with any order here because of one other thing here. So the repeat here, right? We want this to keep repeating because it's a trailing roll, but we also need to keep monitoring the RSI, right? So typically a trigger, once it's become true, it's triggered, right? It's done. You don't keep monitoring these triggers. But in this case, we do need to keep monitoring that RSI there, right? So therefore, only repeat when retriggered. So retriggering means evaluate our triggers again. We need to evaluate right? These triggers here. So that gets us to reevaluate the RSI on a bar by bar basis there. Okay. And then let's see, the trailing rule is, since this is a 16 tick, all right, we're trailing by 4 ticks. All right, so let's knock this down, or knock it up to 4 ticks. There we go. All right. So that is our RSI trailing there. Now we need another rule here in case the RSI is below 70 or above 30. Let's see here. There. All right, so let's go back into our trigger. And again, we're going to utilize the indicator value here so we can monitor the RSI. Here we go. Plug in that RSI. So this time, if we're going to long trade, we want to know, let's see here. Well, actually, yeah, I think this will work. Okay, so we want to know, is the RSI less than 70, greater than 30 for a short, all right, and we need to switch to the advanced tab here. Oh yeah, just to make sure, I don't think I mentioned that on our trailing here. So actually, let's fix the name here. There we go. So this is a 4 tick trailing. So yeah, on our 4 tick trailing based on the RSI for the triggers, I don't think I mentioned, I switched to the advanced tab here, right? The way that you get 2 triggers, right? The way that you can work with 2 triggers is on the advanced tab. So the basic tab is just for 1 trigger only. So, all right. Okay, so going back to the RSI between 70 and 30, open that up. All right, so we have for longs below 70, shorts above 30. Now, right, now what if your, actually no, maybe I'm overthinking this. I was thinking that we would need another indicator value trigger so that for a long trade to make sure the RSI is above 30, right, trapping it. But if we're in a long trade, yeah, all we need to know is that it's below 70. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, we'll just keep this on the basic tab. There we go. Let's keep this on the basic tab. We only need this one trigger here, right? The indicator value trigger. And, oh, no, sorry. Yeah. Getting ahead of myself. We do need the advanced tab here because we also need to monitor the P&L. All right, so we want to know when there is 16 ticks of profit. There. All right, so we're since you can't add and remove a profit target on the fly, right? Because that violates OCO, the OCO flag or the OCO condition there. So what we're going to have to do instead is monitor the profit in this trailing rule here. So if the RSI is below 70 and we have at least 16 ticks of profit, you might want to add a tick or two just for slippage, right? Since this isn't a profit target there. So you might want to, consider adding a tick or two of extra just for the slippage there. And so, that's our condition there, right? And then the action will be to just flatten our trade, right? Get out of that trade, close it out. And then the repeat here, there's no repeat. So, so if both of these conditions are true, if the RSI writes below 70 and we have at least, X number of ticks of profit, then boom, close it out, we're done. So, I think that should do it. Let's see if I can actually see if the market will work with us and actually take this for a test spin. And let's see here, probably, I think I should go down to a much smaller range chart here. And let's see, which direction is the market going? All right, looks like it's going to be going long here soon. So let's go long, see what happens. Boom, there's our break even, and that was our 16 tick closeout there. Because the RSI, as we can see, it's below 70. There you go. There's our two lines there for the RSI. Right, there's our 30 and 70. So, all right, let's try this one more time. And what happened here? Oh, my arrow is missing. There we go. All right, let's try this again. Break even. Oh, stop got hit. Let's see. All right, we did get a little trending back there. It does look like the market will start trending up here shortly. Yeah, looks like we got another minute here. Actually, I might as well just wait for the RSI to go above 70. Yeah. So, all right, let's see if there's anything else I can answer while we're waiting on this RSI. And let's see here. All right, so let's see. All right, James is asking, where do you go find the raw recordings there? So I would just jump on YouTube and just search for Shark Indicators Raw, and that'll find it for you. Yeah. So up here in YouTube's little search, yeah, if you type in shark indicators raw, that'll find it for you. So we don't have any links. We don't advertise this, right? This is just temporary holding place. So yeah, I don't think there's any place on our website with a link to it. So yeah, just go to YouTube and do a little search. Make sure you include that raw, and that'll find it there for you. So, and all right, so let's see. Oh, look at that. Shoot, kind of missed it. Okay, good. We're still above 70. Boom. Yeah, that 4 tick stop loss is way too tight for the NQ, but I was at least able to see it for a split second. That stop loss popped up to the 4 tick trailing, and then of course the NQ hit it instantly. So yeah, let's see if maybe the ES here, where I don't have any new ones. Let's go with oh geez, I'm sorry, I'm thinking we're on 12 already. We're almost, yeah. We'll have to switch over to December contract here soon. And all right, just waiting on that to load. Let's see. All right, there we go. So, I don't have a chart of the ES up, so I don't know when the ES is going to be trending. But I'll just wait for the RSI to get above 70 here. And all right, let me go back to the Q&A window here. And there you go. Michael answered James's question for me. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michael. And all right. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's any other questions. So, well, yeah, the ES is a much slower beast, isn't it? Yeah, the ES has just been dead for the last 15 minutes. Okay. Well, let's see. Check some other instruments here. Let's check the RTY. Yeah, the Dow's a little too volatile for a 4 tick. Let's check the RTY. And yeah, it's a little dead as well. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I can't check on here because, yeah, this is a 10-minute delayed data feed here, so that's not doing me any good. All right, so I'm just checking the other instruments here on my other machine. All right, looks like oil. Yeah, we might have some luck here with oil. Oh, wait a minute. Why is this on an old contract? Ah, okay. There. Oh, actually, too late. Yep, oil already did its little up move about 17 minutes ago. Shoot. Let's see. Well, yeah, I guess that was the NQ was our only chance there really to test it out. Yeah, the NQ is a little bit is in a consolidation. Yeah, for now. Well, actually, yeah. You know what? Let's give this a shot here. Ah, no. All right. Well, at least we did. I was able to see it in action at least once there when the RSI was above 70 and that trailing kicked in there. So, yeah. And all right. So yeah, since this is kind of a unique one here, I'm gonna save this out. All right, so I think I got everything included in the name here. Good. All right, we'll save that out. And yeah, file name's not valid. Okay, I was wondering about that. That's right. Can't use the and% symbol. So we'll just have to type that out. All right, I think we can use the greater than, less than. I think it was the and%. Let's see. Nope. Okay. There we go. All right. Managed to get a file name that works. Okay. So let me go back to the Q&A window here. Yeah, all right. Looks like Michael's taking off for the weekend here. Yeah, man, I haven't watched Formula One in a long time. Yeah, it's kind of like, once you've seen a bunch of Formula Ones, they all just kind of begin to look the same, racing around the corners. But it is definitely a very fun, fast sport. When you're first watching it, just like motorcycle racing too. But after a while, they all kind of look the same. All right, Michael. So have a good weekend and enjoy your Formula One. And let's see, Alvin is asking if he can get a copy of the file. And yeah, so I did save out this file. All you need to do is just email support and ask for, a link to download that file. And as soon as it gets uploaded there, you'll get emailed back with the download link. So, right? Yeah. And also, just as a reminder here, gentlemen, there is a page on our website. So that's what you'll get emailed back, the link back to, right, the web page here, our website. So let me just show you where that's at. All right. So if you're on our website, just go to support. And you can see template files right there. So right there in the middle. And so here's all the template files that ever get saved out. So this seems to be a popular one here where people want to play around with the Bloodhound and or Blackbird files from our sales webinars. So this is a section here that has all those files from the sales webinars only. Right, so you can go in there, sort by date, and there you go. And you can see the newest ones are on top there. So all the Shark Week files there. So you can see Blackbird template, Blackbird, Bloodhound template, chart template, and chart template. Yeah. So, anyways, so there's that. Yeah. So on this template files page is where you can get a copy of them. Right. So here's the Bloodhound. Here's the Blackbird. Right. And if you're ever watching a really old YouTube video, then that was back on NinjaTrader 7. You can see at the bottom is the Ninja 7 files, all been put in one spot there. Yeah. So anyway, so when you get emailed back, it'll email you to this page, directly to, that specific file. Actually, sorry, Blackbird. So yeah, you'll get emailed back to this section here directly to that file. So All right. So there's that. And here, just kind of clean up my browser. Here we go. All right, put that away. And all right, looks like I managed to get through all the questions. So let's see where we're at. Wow, okay, almost at the 2.5 hour mark. So boy, this has actually been a much better Blackbird workshop than I thought. I thought it was going to be a dead one because it kind of took 10 or 15 minutes to get going. So all right, gentlemen. Well, I'll hang around for at least another 5 minutes or so. You know, basically, I'll hang around to just past the bottom of the hour to see if there's any more questions. All right, and if I don't see any more questions, you know, in the next 5 minutes, I will just assume that we're all done for the day, and you guys have all checked out for the weekend. So. All right, guys. So, yeah, you got at least 5 minutes here to think of some more questions and get those in here. Otherwise, I'll close it up. All right, gentlemen, a couple more minutes left. So just a reminder, I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions that you guys might have. And I'll hang around for another minute or two just to see. So otherwise, if I don't see any more questions in the next minute or two, then we'll close up shop for today and call it a weekend. Right. All right, gentlemen, there's only a couple of you left in the room here, so I'm going to call it here. And yeah, it's 2 minutes after the bottom of the hour. So I think we're done. All right, guys, have a good weekend, and I'll see you again next week. All right, bye bye, guys.